And we're back here in cloudy Colorado on this beautiful Takeaway Tuesday. I am John, the host of Takeaway Tuesday, and we are going to break down some of the things I want to talk about from Week 15 of the NFL season. Talk about how I did with my predictions. We're going to speed through the results of the games. A lot of times I break it down and I go all the way into passing ratings and yards and touchdowns. We don't need to do all that. We're just going to hit the things that we know we want to talk about, we want to hear about, we want to think about. All of that. Let's get into it. All right. So, I got a list. John got a list this week. Excuse me. So, this week, I went 10-6. It takes me to 75-56. Let's go through those results just real fast. Chargers at Raiders on Thursday Night Football. I called the Raiders, and not only did the Raiders win, but the Raiders single-handedly destroyed Brandon Staley's career, as well as the general manager over in LA for the Chargers. And they have since packed their bags and moved on out of town, clearing that desk in that Chargers office for one Bill Belichick, one would assume. I called the Raiders, and the Raiders absolutely steamroll through that one. 1-0. Vikings, Bengals. I said Bengals, and it looked cloudy there for a minute, but the Bengals pulled off. Take me 2-0 in that Saturday morning game. Steelers at Colts in the mid-slot on Saturday. I called Colts. Colts pull it out. Steelers look tumultuously bad. I don't know what's going on with them right now. Hopefully they get it figured out. Let's take a second here. This light is making it so that I look all blurry. Can we fix that? Yeah? Get the little focus back in. It's going to be what it's going to be, I guess. Alright, sorry about that. Probably a little glitch there in the system. I cleaned off the camera because that was bothering the heck out of me. But back to what it was we were talking about in the moment. I called Colts over the Steelers, as the Steelers look weird. They're already calling for Mike Tomlin's head on a platter, but that's never going to happen. Let's all face it. The Colts do pick up that win to take me to 3-0. Closing out Saturday, Broncos at Lions. Looked like the Broncos were going to come in with some momentum. That was also not the case, as the Lions continue their reign this season, taking me to 4-0. On to Sunday, Bucks at Packers. We're going to talk about this one a little bit deeper later on in the show. But Bucks come in and just absolutely steamroll the Packers at Lambeau. That will take me to 4-1. Bears at Browns came down to be tight there at the end. We'll talk about that again a little bit later too as well. But that takes me to, I called the Browns, takes me to 5-1. Texans at Titans. This game looked like it was going to get out of hand really fast for the Texans, and they pull out. They pull out at the end, and they pick up the win. The Texans with the win. I called the Texans 6-1 on the week. Jets at Dolphins. Dolphins shut out the Jets like 30-0, absolutely obliterating the Jets in their playoff hopes, and possibly the return of Aaron Rodgers. We'll talk about that later as well. That takes me to 7-1, as I called the Dolphins. Chiefs at Patriots. The rivalry between Patrick Mahomes and Kadarius Toney will continue on, but they do squeak out a win. I called the Chiefs over the Patriots for that win. Takes me to 8-1. Tommy DeVito's Giants roll into New Orleans and get bested by a lackluster Saints team. I called the Giants for the upset, and I lose on that one. Take me to 8-2. Falcons at Panthers. I called the Falcons over the Panthers because why the hell wouldn't you? And everybody on the planet was wrong. That takes me to 8-3 as the Panthers squeak out their second win of the season over Atlanta Falcons in front of about 42 total fans. On to Commanders at Rams. I called Rams, sorry. And the Rams pick up the win on that one. It takes me to 9-3. 49ers at Cardinals. Called the Niners because they're the best team in the league right now, bar none. They do pick up the win again, taking me to 10-3. On to Cowboys at Bills. I called Cowboys because I thought thinking that the Cowboys would decimate, or that I thought thinking that the Bills would decimate the Cowboys was an unthinkable thing, that would never be the case. I was dead wrong as the Cowboys get stunted, excuse me, in America's Game of the Week, and the Bills pick up the win, taking me to 10-4. Ravens at Jags. I called the Jags because I thought Trevor Lawrence was going to definitely try to keep that team's head above water, and he did the best he could, but came up just a bit short. The Ravens win, taking me to 10-5, and we go to the Monday night game, Eagles at Seahawks. I called the Eagles because I thought it'd be a rare thing for them to just continue this backslide of losses that's happening for them, but the Seahawks find a way to beat these Eagles on Monday Night Football, taking me to that 10-6 record on the week. Yippee-yi-yo-ki-yay. We are still rolling in the win column, 75-56, keeping that number green, keeping us rolling along. Let's keep it going. All right. Let's talk about some of the stuff this week that I want to talk about from Week 15 of the NFL season. We're going to start off with the Bears fail Mary, the Bear Mary, the Bail Mary, you know what I mean. The Bales, now I've done it to myself. The Bears fail Mary. Say that 5 times fast and tell me you don't have the same error that I just had. Man, they had a shot for the win there at the end, for sure, and the Hail Mary looked nice. Fields obviously rolls out, puts the ball up in the air, and Mooney has an absolute shot at this ball as it is batted downwards by the Browns right into his hands. If you look at this picture right here, if I give you zero context about this picture, you're going to tell me that the Bears catch this ball, okay? They don't. They absolutely do not. Not only do they not, but he bobbles it around and it gets intercepted. The Bears, the Bears are going to be the Bears. And look, they had a good week last week against the Lions, upsetting this dominant Lions team. But, I saw DJ Moore send out his little, we got something waiting for the Packers, Week 17. Well, the Packers have nothing to offer. So what do you got? Do you have a defensive coordinator? No, because you're losing every game. So, I think that whatever you have to offer, DJ, isn't going to hold up if you guys can't catch a ball in the end zone when it is literally in your lap. Despicable. Absolutely despicable. But good effort out of Mooney. I know that he obviously is beating his head against the wall for that. Browns defense looking a lot better these last couple weeks. Now they have a quarterback to play for. Flacco, obviously 3 interceptions. But, a couple weeks ago, that man was sitting on the couch. He's won 2 weeks in a row for them. Tough to complain about Joe Flacco's performance and the Browns. But that Bears fail Mary, that'll live forever, as it was this close to the Bears winning 2 weeks in a row and trying to pick themselves up by the bootstraps. But they do not pull it off. And again, this picture says it all. This picture says just how close they were to winning that game. But they just fell just a bit short. Let's move on to the New York Jets. The New York Jets have officially been eliminated from the playoff contention in the NFL this season. And it's really no surprise, I think, really, right? Like, how can we be shocked by that? They played some lackluster football. The weeks that they have played good, like last week, where Zach Wilson kind of looks like a stud. They're just one-offs, and all of them were kind of in the lackluster hopes that Aaron Rodgers could play Christmas Eve, okay? And he's said from the beginning, from when he said he was going to come back and play this season, that there were extenuating factors, and some of those factors were where he was in the rehab process with his health, that he was not going to jeopardize his health for just a one-off, and where the Jets sat in the playoff picture. And the Jets have officially been eliminated. Today, Rodgers was on the McAfee show where he said At least as of this week, where there was potential to clear him, he is not ready to go. He doesn't feel that he is at 100% and will not play until he is 100%. And with that, essentially alluded to shutting it down for the year and focusing on 2024, which I 100% am behind. I love Aaron Rodgers, and I wanted to see Aaron Rodgers defy science. I'm not even on a political front. I just love watching his nonsense take place. But I was really looking forward to that. But I am glad that somebody who just had Achilles surgery in August is not going to be trying to play football again in December. 3 months, probably not long enough, and it's going to be better for him and his legacy and his possibility to get that Jets team on the right track if he goes home, sits it out, and focuses on rehab and getting healthy into the offseason, and we can see what they have to offer next season. Jets being eliminated, and I've heard now that Zach Wilson has been informed when he was benched that first week that he will not be a New York Jet next season and that they will deal him in the offseason. Aaron Rodgers said that he's obviously looking to recruit some players into that team, that the offense needs some fine-tuning, but did not comment on whether or not Zach Wilson would be a part of that process. Obviously, the rumor is that the Jets are going to try to go get Davante Adams. I love Davante, and I love him and Aaron Rodgers' chemistry. That will backseat Garrett Wilson, who I think is a very talented wide receiver, who just has not had one logical person to throw him a ball this year. And when he did, when Zach Wilson went off last week, he looked like an absolute stud. But, 0 receptions for 0 yards in the first half and only 4 total yards of offense for the New York Jets in that first half. Just can't have that, and that team is scrubbed from the playoffs for the 13th straight season, and they will look to 2024 to rekindle it and get their captain, Aaron Rodgers, back out on the field. Let's move on to the ongoing rivalry that the Chiefs are dealing with. And no, I don't mean the one that they have with the Patriots. I mean the one that they have between Patrick Mahomes and Kadarius Toney. When MVS got signed to that team, I thought, oh man, you got a guy now who has brick hands who can't catch a damn ball if you paid him to. Little did I know they have 2 of those. Kadarius Toney could not catch a ball if you literally just held it out here for him and let him come grab it. He could not do it. He doesn't know. This man is the definition of a one-off, right? Where, like, in the Super Bowl, he catches all these phenomenal passes, and everybody's like, Kadarius Toney, he's going to be the guy next year. He's going to be... People were drafting him in fantasy football in the first round, taking gambles on Kadarius Toney, and look at where they are now. The second interception for Patrick Mahomes during that game went right in between Kadarius Toney's hands and into the defender's hands. Patrick Mahomes slams the helmet down on the bench again, or tosses the helmet. He's done. You could tell he's frustrated. They still squeak out the win, right? But you could tell that there's some frustration on that sideline between the youth of the wide receiver core and the excellence that is Patrick Mahomes. But with that being said, Travis Kelce had a quiet day too, and that's with Travis Kelce's girlfriend Taylor Swift up in the booth wearing the Santa hat, getting in the holiday spirit. But the Chiefs just playing lackluster football at this point, and it's tough for me to think that the Broncos actually might be a better structured team than them right now, with how bad the Broncos started off. But the Broncos rolled there for a minute. The Lions are a tough team to beat and a tough barn for sure. So not every team is going to be able to do it this year for sure, but the AFC West is a messy division. I mean, if you look at the Raiders-Chargers game, you don't think that the Raiders are one of the worst teams in the league. Like, you think that they still have shot on top of shot to win a championship or get into a championship. But the Chargers are just that bad. And that division is just that bad. And this rivalry between Mahomes and Toney can only end when they inevitably trade Kadarius Toney in the offseason. I can't imagine that with all that's happened this year, with his just inability to be a good wide receiver for that team, I can't imagine that he sticks around into 2024. Have the Eagles been figured out, everybody? Have the Eagles been figured out? The Niners beat the Eagles, and then the Eagles have sat in this downhill spiral and been beaten by a lot of teams in that division at this point in time. They've been beaten by the Niners. They've been beaten by the Cowboys. They've been beaten by the Seahawks. And you just can't continue to have this slide when they started off as good as they did, almost undefeated until week 8 or 9. And, there was talks of Hurts being the MVP and all this kind of stuff, right? And now they just don't. They still look like they have some decent structure and stuff like that, but they can't close out games. They just can't do it. They let the Seahawks back into this game, and then they got beat by a dagger to DK Metcalf, and then Smith-Njigba. I think that's his name. Smith-Njigba? Yeah, sure. We're going to go with that. With the touchdown catch to seal that game out. They're falling off, and now their playoff picture looks different than it did earlier in the year, and they're going to have a whole lot of different circumstances coming down on them with where they sit at this point in time. I think the Eagles have been figured out. I think that the Niners called it right after the game when they told the Cowboys via X that if you're not watching game film on how we just beat them, you're fools. I think everybody's watching game film now on how the Niners and the Cowboys did it. The Seahawks obviously did, and people are now going to watch that game film to see what got them back in the game too. Let's talk really quick. I'm trying to keep these episodes slimmer, so I'm sorry if I'm moving along really quick, but Jason Kelce with the false start penalty, which kind of sets the tone for the end of that game, for moving the ball forward half a yard. He took total responsibility today and said that he's been informed time and time again not to move the ball forward. But he gains almost a full yard just in sliding the ball forward. You can't do that. There's no way. And any other player who's not as beloved as Jason Kelce would get absolutely eradicated in the media for that. It's cheating. You're moving the ball forward almost a full yard and getting away with it. Look at how he did it, too. He, very slowly kind of inched it and then tipped the ball up and then moved the ball again. Come on, man. You know better than that. You've been in the league a long time. The gray shows how long you've been around, shows you're tired. You've talked about retiring. You know the drill. And I'm glad they called that penalty. It should have been called. And I hope that they're strict on that penalty for every team in the league, because just inching the ball forward to get that much closer, especially when if they had just run the play from where they were going to do it, they were going to push anyway. He's going to get the first down. No matter what, he's going to get the first down. So, I think the Eagles have finally been figured out, and now we see how they play out as we get into the playoffs here in the next couple of weeks. Let's move on to my thoughts. I saw a post. The post is going to go up here. But a post from Sportskeeda about Tommy DeVito. The post says, New York Giants quarterback Tommy DeVito will not be appearing at Cogliano's Pizzeria and Bakery due to raising his fee from $10,000 to $20,000. DeVito's agent Sean Stellato stated that they never agreed or signed a contract, while the local family business says they can't afford to pay that. Let's square this up right now. Tommy DeVito came into this season a third-string quarterback who nobody had ever heard of. Never heard of him. I don't know who that guy is. I still don't know who that guy is, and he beat the Green Bay Packers, okay? I don't have a clue who that guy is. So the audacity, in my opinion, to raise your fees on local family businesses when you're trying to foster a community of people, of fans, of children who are inspired by how you're playing, it's absolutely disgusting, in my opinion, and I think that he should not only go back to possibly the original fee, but I think he should go there for free now, sign some autographs for some kids. You don't need $20,000 to go to a pizzeria, dude. It's just ridiculous. Had Tyrod Taylor never gotten hurt this season, you never would have touched a ball. Had Daniel Jones not gotten hurt this season, they're paying him $40 million over 4 years, you never would have touched a football. They have to figure out what to do with you in the offseason, because now the fans and the team are behind you. But they have $40 million Danny Dimes, who's going to come back and play next season unless they find a way out of that deal. Your head got big really fast. This is not something that you just I can do this and I can throw touchdowns and now I'm worth lots of money. It's not how the game works, dude. Nobody would know who you were if it weren't for this flash in the pan situation that you're currently a part of. I'm disappointed by that. I really kind of was excited about Tommy DeVito, and I don't know how to feel about it now. And I don't know if it's his fault. I don't know if he's the guy who thinks he's worth more, double the money now, or if it's mafia leading agent guy Sean Stellato who thinks that he can get away with doing that kind of stuff and put some extra cash into that guy's pocket and into his own pocket for that matter. Either way, disgusting, disappointing, and they should absolutely go to that pizzeria for free and give the fans the experience that was promised originally one way or another. That's just how that should go. You shouldn't be a scumbag, if you will. And now on to the thing. It's the very last thing on my list. We're going to wrap the video here shortly, but I'm going to say it. A lot of Packers fans are saying it. I definitely have some sources on my end that I talked to who have talked about it as well for weeks and weeks on end. Leah, shout out to you, Leah. This is a long time coming. I've stayed very quiet about this situation as every other week seems to be a different version of our defense, but the Packers need to fire Joe Barry. It has been said now on Introverse Uncharted. It's been said on the McAfee Show. It's been said on ESPN. It's been said on SportsCenter. It's been said all over the media. Matt LaFleur has said that they are keeping Joe Barry through the end of the season. And look, man, here's the deal. Fine. To me, that's just throwing in the towel on the year and kind of admitting that we're not going to get out of the box, right? It's admitting that even if we can find a way to slip into the playoffs, that we're not going to contend against these teams that are amazing. If we can't beat the Bucks, if we can't beat the Giants, we got a team or a game against the 2-11 Panthers or the 2-12 Panthers this week. If we can't beat these teams, if we can't beat these bad football teams, we can't beat the Niners, we can't beat the Cowboys, we cannot beat the Eagles. That's how that's going to go. Saying that you're going to keep this anchor on our team is promoting that you're okay with us losing it. As a coach who's won 3 consecutive seasons with 13 wins and got us into the playoffs 3 consecutive seasons, I think that's a disappointing message to send to this dedicated fan base who just wants to see us win and play our best possible football. Jordan Love is learning, and you can see it. You can see the changes. When Jordan Love plays patient football, when he lets the game come to him, when he looks for the open targets, he uses the checkdowns, he plays high-quality football. Our receiver core has really developed this year. Watson finally showing up when he hasn't been injured. Romeo Dobbs, he looks like Jordan Love's guy. Dontavian Wicks, or as I call him, John Tavian Wicks for John Wicks. Shout out to you, Kendra. He is absolutely a fit for this team. There are definitely... Bo Melton looked really good this last week. Aaron Jones got rolling. And then we just bailed on the run game altogether. And if you avoid all of the conversation about the offense, because honestly, no turnovers from Jordan Love. We played pretty consistently on the offensive side of the ball. But you just can't... You got to score points on every drive, right? If you avoid all that, there are a couple of drives where our defense was just so out that we just let them... The Tampa Bay Buccaneers threw the same pass play every 2 plays. And what it was a seam play up the gut where we were going to play soft zone and let Chris Godwin run all over us. And on top of that, for some reason, we decided to put Devondre Campbell onto Chris Godwin. I love Campbell. He's an absolutely amazing linebacker, and I'm really tired of the football community being like, oh, he's washed. He's not washed. He's not supposed to be on a top 2 wide receiver on a team. Why are you putting your big middle linebacker on a number 1 or a number 2 wide receiver for man coverage? That's ridiculous. And on top of that, we never play man anyway. We play soft zone. We let them catch the ball. And a couple times we let them catch the ball and then navigate through us like Pac-Man and get all the way into the end zone for a touchdown. This is absolutely ridiculous. I'm going to call for it right now. It's time. Hashtag fire Joe Barry. I've seen it all over the place. This podcast is in support of it. I will continue to support the Green Bay Packers through this season. I'll support them next season, even if Joe Barry is at the helm. They're my boys. I bleed the green and gold, just like Packers Nation would. But it doesn't mean I can't be disappointed in throwing in the towel, essentially, on a year that looked like it had some potential. Last week, we were in a playoff spot. This week, we find ourselves 2 spots out of the playoffs right now. We just can't have that kind of stuff happening. It's time for Joe Barry to go. Yeah, I just can't believe that that we're so willing to throw in the towel on all that we've tried to accomplish this year. Again, and as a longtime Packers fan, going into this year, I will honestly say that I was like, oh, okay, this is not a championship year. This is going to be a development year. The Packers don't go through rebuilds very often. So when you see it, you just kind of know this is probably not going to be our year. This isn't the Lombardi Trophy year. But think about, Aaron Rodgers comes into Green Bay in year number 1. His stats next to Jordan Love's stats are very similar. Very similar for year number 1 as the starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. Year 2, Aaron Rodgers wins the Super Bowl. I'm not saying that Jordan Love wins a Super Bowl. I'm saying that it takes time to develop and get better as the time is going on. And you find those weapons that are good for you, and you keep them, and you hold on to them, and you make developments. And I don't know if we hold on to guys like A.J. Dillon into the offseason while their contracts are up for grabs. I don't know. I don't know that we do. But I know that if our defense is ranked 31st in the last 3 seasons because we can't stop a run, we can't stop a very standard short pass because we want to play 10 yards off of the receivers, then we are going to lose. We're going to lose constantly and consistently. We have proven it now time and time again that when we lose big. We let Baker Mayfield have the second recorded perfect passer rating in Lambeau history. The other one, Aaron Rodgers. Other than that, we have shut out Baker Mayfield in Lambeau for years and years on end, humiliating him on Christmas one year. And here we are, coming off a week where we should have picked up a W, coming off of a last week when we should have picked up a W. 2 weeks ago, people were like, the Packers are going to run the table. And now we're out. We're sitting on the fringe, waiting to see how the NFC falls out and if we have a place in the playoffs. And if we do have a place in the playoffs, how do we, playing defense and offense the way that we have been, how do we play against the 49ers? How do we play against the Eagles? How do we play against the Cowboys? We don't. Not good. Not good. Not quality. It's going to be rough. It's time for the change on defense. Matt LaFleur, you got to fire him. I know you want to stick up for him, you got to fire him. You got to get him out of there. It's time for a change. We need... My 5-year-old could defensive coordinator better, and he knows nothing about football. I could defensive coordinate better, and I've never played a snap of football in my life that wasn't like in a park with a group of friends. It's ridiculous. It's time for a change. And I'm not the only Packers fan who's been saying it. I give a shout out to the Gap Girls. I watch football with the Gap Girls every week. They absolutely crush it. Their opinions are stark and pointed, but they know everything that they can about the Green Bay Packers team. They've been supporters longer than I have, for sure. And we're all in the same boat, where we all just feel like a ship without a rudder right now. We have no defense whatsoever. So it's time to make that change. Time to fire Joe Barry. All right, you guys, that's the show for today. It went a little bit longer than I wanted to, but it's all good. We got some good content in there, and I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. As always, please remember to like, follow, share, and subscribe to all Introverse Uncharted social medias. That's TikTok, Instagram. Wow, I can't remember what the other Instagram thing is called right now for some reason. Threads. Ha! Threads. My bad. Facebook, Instagram, Threads, X, TikTok, all of them. Go subscribe to all of them. If you haven't checked out some of our more recent videos, please, you're right here. You're watching this video. Just run on over, check out some of the other videos, and drop some likes, drop some follows, all sorts of stuff. Comments are welcome all the time. Thank you guys so very much for tuning in. And remember to do more than simply exist and come with me into the Uncharted. I'll see you guys later this week for more fun and adventures.